This is part 2 of my table runner series. There's 3 parts, and today we're going to talk about the other unit, the corner units of the block, and I'm going to show you the whole table runner. I'm Pat Sloan. Thank you for being here. The table runner is done with my Bonnie Lane fabric and the cranberries and mistletoe pattern from Sew Emma. So here is the quilt, the table runner. The table runner is the smallest unit in the pattern. You can make this all the way up to a full spit size quilt. There we go. It's long. Can you see it? I have to like shift over to get it all in. There. This is a massive table runner, but what is so cool is you can take this on a long table, if you have a long table, to go right down the center. I actually have a round table, and so it is going to go like sort of across and hang over a little bit on either side, and I could actually put on my table runner, my coffee table, the same way, put it down. But actually, in reality, I'm not going to put it on the table. Mine is going to go and hang this way in my kitchen because I have a space where there's the wall unit, you know, like phone unit for the wall that we don't use anymore. So I have quilts hanging over it, and I want to have something fresh and light for that area. So this is going to be it. So I have a couple tips because we have, this is the main block. This is, this is the block unit. And I showed you last video about the flying geese and the center part. Now the other unit is the corner. And so today we'll talk about the corner, and then I have a little tip for assembling the 3 rows to make one block. So this is the pattern. I've got my copy here, and you'll have all the links down below. If you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't subscribed yet, you can go down to the corner, whichever corner it is, down below, and you can click the subscribe button. And then after that, you should get a little bell. And if you click the bell, you'll get notifications. So whenever there's a new video, you'll see it. All right. First of all, we have to have a half square triangle. And so this is the, this is a half square triangle I've already trimmed down. Let's come down on the table here. And we have, these are the 2 units. You sew them 2 at a time. I had drawn a line, sewn on either side, and then, they will flip open, but they're too big. They're a little bit oversized. So let me demo the ruler real time. I show you this ruler all the time because it is a very inexpensive ruler and very efficient for trimming 2 at a time half square triangles. So I am looking, this is a big block at 6.5, so I will put that line on the seam. The line goes on the seam, so the seam allowance is underneath that line. And then you'll see there's just a little bit to trim, and so I'll take the trimmings off, and then I would go and press this open, and that would be the half square triangle. So we have this here. Now for the block, the corner unit has a sew and flip on it. So there is this extra piece out here. And for this green one, that extra piece is blue. So I will be sewing from corner to corner over here on the Jubilant then. But we need to mark that because my Jubilant doesn't have a laser guide like my Baby Lock Solaris does. So I will want to mark this. I'm using one of the Iron Away markers, a Frixon markers. This is going to be underneath. You're not going to see it. It's not on top, but I like to use these anyways. So I will measure, usually not with that one. I like to have a straight ruler. Okay, so I have a ruler corner to corner, and I just draw that line so that you can see it. And then this is my sewing line. And I will be putting that on the corner of the patchwork, and I will be sewing from here to here. Now both of these are on the straight side. We don't have anything that we're sewing from the point, but I always want to start on a straight side so that the points would get like sucked in, but we don't have that issue. We're not sewing it this way for this block. We're sewing it across because then what happens is I flip this open and we have the corner, the folded corner. So let us go on over to the Jubilant, And I will zoom down in here, and I am sewing on the Jubilant today with the button, the start and stop button, not the foot pedal, because I'm standing up and this just is much easier. Behind here I already have a piece that I've sewn so that the threads are already kind of tucked into that. I will lift the presser foot up just a little bit, get the fabric under the machine. Now I have the guide here which goes really fast or really snail pace, and I usually bump it up just a little bit. You will learn where you can put this slider, because when you're starting and stopping you always have to come up here and push the button to stop and give it like one stitch. All right, so now I'm coming along and I am sewing right on the seam because I don't need any seam allowance. This is called sew and flip, and it's going to go right out to the end, and I probably could go a wee bit faster. There we go. So that's pretty slow. All right, stop. Now I would like to take one of the other pieces that I'd cut off and use it to end this. That way I'm actually using these trim away pieces, and they'll be half square triangles when I'm done. So I'm going to show you that afterwards. I'll have a whole stack of these that I can do something with. So I sew that, and generally a little bit faster, and then come on the back, and I can take the, let's see, we'll take our unit we just sewed. Here we go. And now I've got the one that I started with, take that off and put it over in my pile. Here we go. This piece, oops, this piece here will be done sew and flip, which means I will go to the iron. Then, I'm not taking the iron right now, but I will go to the iron and press it over. And I do not want to leave, now this is really good, I've got it all the way over. I always recommend after you press it to check the back. It should be totally even. You shouldn't come back here and see it peeking, you know, like that. You shouldn't see that top part peeking. That means that you didn't sew it right on the line and it's too big. So it won't match up nicely to the next blocks if it's too big. So this is pretty good, it's pretty perfect. So I would press this. Then I would use a trimming ruler. So I have these, I like Doug's trimming ruler from Antler Designs. This is another one where you put it on the line. So it's now on the line where I'm going to trim. So there's a 1/4 inch between this straight line and the outside. So I take this and trim it off, which gives me, whoops, and go all the way, which gives me the sew and flip units that I've been running through. Because in the end, all of these will become all of these. So from this project, plus a sample block, I'm getting a large amount of extra half square triangles. And that's kind of like a bonus. You get these from sew and flips, and depending on how big the sew and flip unit is, these end up being 2.5. So it's quite nice. I can do something else with them, which on the last post of this 3-part series for the table runner, I'll show you what I'm doing with these. So now we have the corner units for the block, and that's what you're going to build this week, is the rest of these and put the blocks together. And I want to show you one sample block here that needs the rows put together, and I'll give you a tip for how to do that. So here's the block. You know, I've done it chain piecing into the strips. There we go, so you can see. And I'll put this all down on the counter, and then when I get ready to sew these units together, I have a little tip for you, because there's something I think we all naturally do, and we can help ourselves by not doing that. So when you have the block here, see, this is the unit. This is the unit we just made over here. There it is, with the sew and flip corner. Isn't that clever? I just love the illusion of this block gives, that sort of box in a box. It's very cool. I'll put that over there. So what I have is, I think whenever we get ready to sew, we would have this by our table, right? It's ready to go to do this to this and then this to this side, so you have a full block. And what we often will do, we'll just come, because this is the middle unit, right? We'll come and we'll do this, and then we'll get to pinning, and then we sew. But the problem is we're sewing blind right here. underneath is our square and a square, and we don't want to chop off that point by sewing too big of a seam allowance. Or if we have sort of a problem with that block, which happens, maybe you have a really skimpy seam allowance, you be sure that you're going to hit it. So, but I think it's natural for us to take the outside, put it on the middle, and then just sew. Instead, what I want you to do is reverse that. Flip it like this, but then take the whole thing over. So now you can see this point, and what I will do is line things up. So I have these pin bowls, a couple pin bowls that I keep my straight pins in. And what I'm going to do is first do pin where the seam allowance is. Where the seams are. So this is where the seams are on both sides. So I want to pin where they are, and then I want to pin the other side, because it's basically 3 blocks across. That is the construction of this particular big block. So I am pinning those, and then I will pin some other places. I'll pin at the end, like down here. You know, I will have pressed the green side so that the blue is to the blue and the green is open to the cream side, so that those two can nestle in there, and I will pin them. And what I'm doing is when I pin, I'm kind of pinning from the side, because I'm also going to hold that as I go through. And then I'll do the same over here, is be sure that it's all, you know, the green is pressed to the cream so that they are nestled. They're not having all that seam allowance together. Instead, they're butted up, cream to cream. Okay, and now I will sew, because when I'm sewing, I'm going to see that point right on top, and I can see what I'm doing. So when I come through in here and work on this block, I'll go all the way down to that seam. I'm using my 1/4 inch measurer on this particular machine, this foot, and that 4th spot, 1/4 inch measurement right on the bed of the machine is perfect. Okay, so now I'm getting close to the unit, and I want to be sure I've got everything tucked up really nice. Put another pin in there, and let me get you closer so you can actually see what's going on. Now that we're at the important part, here we go. Okay, let it come in. All right, so I don't have a guide beam on this one, so basically I'm doing my 1/4 of an inch, but I'm going towards that unit. I don't want to go too far past it and not make it and chop off the point. So if you go past the seam, you chop off the point. I want to hit right where that seam is. And I'll do a close-up of this, a picture of this for my website, so you can see a link to that for the website article. So I'm going to go right through it, and then I'm going to just go ahead and crease this so I can get out to the end, pull it off, and show it to you. I've got to shift my fabric there. It was sliding. I don't want to have that happen. That's what you do as you're sewing. You've got to constantly be paying attention to what's going on, because it's easy, particularly I'm sewing sideways, for me to slide the fabric. All right, so let's pull this, and I will show you how I went through the point. So there is the point, and I sewed right across it, so you can see that. And let's pull out. Let me show you. I'll pull the pins out and open it up. And this will be one side. Okay, so this is one of the 3 sides, and I will go and give it a good press. But there is the point, so I did not chop the point off, and I will give this a really nice press, and it'll be super flat and really nice. So I'm Pat Sloan, and this is my little 3-part series on doing the table runner with the mistletoe pattern. And that pattern comes with 4 different sizes. I think it's 4 different sizes of quilts, so that you can do a table runner all the way up to a bed size. Yes, it does. Table runner, lap, twin, and king. So you can do whatever size you want. And on my website, I will show 4 blocks together so you can start to see what my Bonnie Lane fabric would look like that way. Whoop, go this direction so you can see the front. So there we go. Hop on over to my website, link is below, and I will see you online.